Go ahead, Chad.
All right. Good evening. I'd like to call the Monday, December 28th, 2020, City of Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting to order. At this time, I will say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would now ask Karen Fendora, Commission Liaison, to call the roll.
Thank you. Planning Commissioner Veal. Commissioner Cradoff.
Planning Commissioner Cradoff here.
Commissioner Honeycutt.
Honeycutt here.
Commissioner Banks.
Commissioner Lynn Banks here.
Commissioner Billups.
Commissioner Billups here.
Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel here.
Commissioner Graham.
Commissioner Travis Graham here.
Commissioner Stokenberry.
Commissioner Susan Stokenberry here.
Commissioner Rohr.
Commissioner Tom Rohr's here.
Commissioner Hose.
Commissioner Ashley Hose here.
Commissioner Veal. Chair Sanderson.
Chad Sanderson is here.
Okay. And Chair, also tonight we have Mike Mallon, Director Community Development, Matt Wright, Assistant Director Community Development, Jackie Summer, City Attorney, Nathan Jury, Senior Planner, Jerry Kaler, Mayor Pro Tem, and the applicants.
All right, thank you, Karen. So I'm going to go ahead and read the public hearing procedures because we have a public hearing this evening, and then I'll read the agenda items. For a public hearing, I'll open the public hearing and call for exhibits from the City Attorney. I will ask for staff comments or presentation, ask if the applicant would like to make a presentation, and then call for witnesses in favor, and then witnesses opposed, and then have any questions or general discussion, and then we'll close the public hearing. The agenda items tonight are 1, consent agenda. 2 is public hearing and rezoning the Edison at Blue Springs. Item 3 is a public hearing plan development concept plan for the Edison at Blue Springs. Item 4 is a preliminary plat, the Edison at Blue Springs. Item 5 is a preliminary plat, Bishop Acres, a replat of Tract A, Willow Tree. And item 6 is a final plat for Bishop Acres, a replat of Tract A at Willow Tree. Item 7 is a site plan design review for Casey's General Store. Item 8 is a final plat, Casey's General Store. Number 9 is other business, and 10 is adjournment. The first item is a consent agenda for the meeting minutes for December 14, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, I move that the minutes from December 14th Planning Commission with the correction to Commissioner Honeycutt's text within the minutes be approved as submitted by staff.
Commissioner Cradoff requests to speak.
Commissioner Cradoff.
In reference to the December 14th, 2020 minutes, under agenda item 6, public hearing, Unified Development Code Text Amendment UDC2-11-20-7573, specifically in regards to the amendment of independent senior housing land use. Commissioner Billups and myself expressed our concerns. I was hoping our concerns would be expanded a bit fuller rather than be described as just concerns with terminology to independent senior housing in the notes. I mentioned the concept of exclusionary zoning, which is a broad subject that could be expanded upon and probably argued against with good merit. I believe our citizens could use more transparency and clarity on this matter, not only from our governing body, but from our city council as well. I have been asked by some, when we get big family single projects in our city, you think a portion of it should be allocated to multifamily because it can be viewed as exclusionary to only have single families in the projects coming from developers. when we have petitions on both sides of this matter, there's much to be discussed. So I asked staff, and if applicable, the city attorney, is there more education or workshops that can be given to help assist our commission in this area of decision making, and also to ensure that we are not infringing on the rights of others with respect to exclusion as well?
Commissioner Cradoff, this is Mike Mallon, Director of Community Development. We can certainly provide any information to the Planning Commission that you would like us to regarding exclusion topics such as exclusionary zoning or topics related to multifamily housing. In the specific case before us, and the minutes from last meeting, the city currently does not have any requirements on the books or any codes that require a certain percentage of housing to be multifamily or require for a certain level of multifamily development in the city. We have some goals and some policies set in our comprehensive plan that addresses those, which I'd be happy to follow up with the planning commissioners following this meeting this evening, if that's something you would like us to do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Cradoff. So just from a procedural standpoint, I think we still do have Commissioner Peel's motion for approving the meeting minutes from December 14, 2020 with the amendment of Commissioner Honeycutt's, his first name was spelled incorrectly. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Is that Commissioner Rohr, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, second from Commissioner Rohr. I believe this will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Commissioner Cradoff.
we're voting on the minutes, Commissioner Cradoff.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Honeycutt,
Aye.
Commissioner Banks,
Commissioner Banks, aye.
Commissioner Billups,
Commissioner Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel,
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Commissioner Travis Graham, aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Commissioner Stokenberry, aye.
Commissioner Rohr,
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose,
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Chair Sanderson.
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
Okay, motion carried unanimously.
All right, thank you. The next items on the agenda is item 2, rezoning RZ 11207574, and item 3, plan development concept plan PDC 11207575, along with item 4, the preliminary plat PP 11207581 for the Edison at Blue Springs. We'll hear all the items together and vote on them separately. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing for items 2 and 3 and call for exhibits from our city attorney, Jackie Summer.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following exhibits into the record. For RZ 11207574, Exhibit 1, staff report with attachments. 2, application with attachments. 3, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on November 28, 2020. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference. And for PDC 11207575, I offer the following exhibits into the record. 1, staff report with attachments. 2, application with attachments. 3, affidavit of publication in the Examiner on November 28, 2020. 4, 185-foot notification map. 5, names and addresses of property owners within 185 feet of the site. 6, copy of the letter sent to said property owners. 7, Title IV Land Use Section Blue Springs Code of Ordinances by reference. And 8, 2014 Comprehensive Plan by reference.
Thank you. And I think, Mr. Wright, you're going to be presenting for the city.
Yep. Thank you, Chair Sanderson and commissioners. Before you this evening, our request for a rezoning plan development concept plan and preliminary plat for the Edison at Blue Springs development. The proposed apartment complex is located on a 10.39 acre property at 101 Northwest Mock Avenue. This is located north of St. Mary's Medical Center and just south of Interstate 70. The first request is to rezone the subject property from GB General Business to MF18 PD, which is high density multifamily with a planned development, which would allow the multifamily land use as proposed to be approved. The second request is for a PD concept plan for the overall development plan and the request for modifications to the code that are unique to the property. The plan includes a 6-building apartment complex totaling 198 units with a central clubhouse and amenity space. Access to the development will be provided from Northwest Mock Avenue. At this time, it is a single point of access, and that is acceptable based on the number of units and the proposed apartment features that meet fire code. Aside from the addition of a sidewalk along Mock Avenue, no other public street or traffic improvements are required for the proposed development. All parking requirements have been met for the development, 342 surface spaces, and then an additional 36 garage spaces that are proposed along the perimeter of the development. Bike parking has also been met with bike parking being able to be accommodated on balconies and decks or patios that are proposed, as well as small bike racks at the entrances for each building, as well as the clubhouse. The overall development does meet all the building typology requirements for an apartment complex, except for 2 modifications that are outlined in the staff report. Those include an increase from 18 units per acre to 19.06 units an acre, and an increase in the maximum number of units per floor from 8 units to 13 units. Per the MF18 zoning district and the open space standards, there is a requirement for apartment complexes to have 40% open space and 15% active open space. Both of these requirements have been met. The top plan shows the total open space at 51.7%. That includes all the site with the exception of of the building footprints as well as the.
I just gotta turn the fans on when I leave.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, right now, yeah.
Folks, the folks that are on a cell phone, please click the mute function. Those that are on a landline, if you would please click *6 to mute yourself until called upon.
Okay.
Thank you.
The top plan shows that the site does have 51.7% open space, and then the plan on the bottom shows 16.4% active open space, which does include the clubhouse, community pool, 2 dog parks, as well as multiple outdoor seating and recreational areas that form a central courtyard, of which all 6 buildings surround. Conceptual building elevations have been provided, which shows some of the elevations of the apartment buildings as well as the clubhouse. The apartment buildings would be 3 stories tall and would include a mix of board and batten, lap siding, stucco, and stone for a modern farmhouse style appearance. The single-story clubhouse would also have the same materials for a consistent design throughout the community. Conceptual landscaping has been shown on the site plan based on the lot size and the adjacent land uses and zoning districts. A table with those landscaping requirements have been provided, which will be reviewed in greater detail with the final plan and site plan design review process. In the staff report, there are a total of 6 modifications that have been requested with the concept plan, including the 2 previous mentioned modifications related to the building density and number of units or number of units per floor. 3 of the 6 modifications are related to landscape buffers. The applicant is proposing or requesting to reduce the north landscape buffer along I-70 from 25 feet to 10 feet. This is largely due to the width of the right-of-way, the distance from the property from the actual travel lanes of I-70, as well as the significant change in the topography. As you can kind of see in the aerial, there's rock outcroppings here, as well as already significant vegetation, including evergreen trees that already create that buffer. So they are requesting a reduction in the buffer to the north property line from 25 feet to 10 feet. The west buffer reduction from 15 feet to 10 feet. This property is currently undeveloped and is currently owned by Moley Chevrolet. There's already significant landscaping along the adjacent property. However, the developer of this property would still be required to put in the required landscaping there, just a reduced buffer. Also in that buffer, an encroachment of approximately 3.67 feet of the detached garage building that would allow a 6-space detached garage to encroach into that requested buffer. And then the same for the property or the east property line adjacent to formerly St. Mary's Village, which is now Ignite Medical Resort. They are required a 7-foot landscape buffer here, which they do meet that requirement, but they were proposing a 6-space detached garage to encroach into that by just 0.67 feet. The final modification is to allow a detached garage to sit slightly in front of the front building line. That is for this southeastern garage here. Even though it is in front of the front building line, it is still 80 to 90 feet back from the right-of-way. So it still sits where it's not going to be readily visible from the street. The final request is for a preliminary plat to plat the unplatted parcel as 1 lot. No additional street improvements are required other than the 5-foot sidewalk along Northwest Mock Avenue. In addition to that, might be a little bit hard to see on this plan, but there is an additional 5 foot of right-of-way being dedicated here on the western 234 feet of frontage. That is due to the fact that Mock Avenue is 60 feet wide to the east here, and then it shrinks down to 50 feet. So as part of the platting process, they will be dedicating the 5 feet there that would be required on their side. In addition to that, a limits of no access would also be required along Interstate 70. Staff did review the rezoning request under the review criteria and finds that the request to rezone from general business to MF18 PD is in compliance with the 2014 comprehensive plan. The rezoning request is located in a corridor reinvestment area in a location that is appropriate for high density residential due to the accessibility to transportation corridors, including 7 Highway and Adamsbury Parkway, as well as commercial districts that are along both of those corridors. The MF18 zoning district provides an appropriate transition from more intensive commercial properties to the west and less intensive office and residential uses to the south and east of the site. Staff reviewed the concept plan under the review criteria and does find that the concept plan is appropriate for the subject property and that the requested modifications are warranted for an infill development site. The requested density is not out of character for a corridor reinvestment area and is a lower density than previously approved multifamily developments, including Lots 1 on North Ridge Drive, as well as Novel Place at White Oak Marketplace. The main reason why the density, maximum density, is lower for apartment complexes is because it is the only multifamily building type that does have a max density based on zoning. The other building types, including mid-rise apartment buildings, do not have a maximum density. It's just based on the number of units in the building, as well as making sure that they meet all parking requirements. So this is the only development type that actually has a maximum density. And they're still, with that modification, would still be below the density of some other previously approved developments. This concept plan does further the goals of the comprehensive plan by integrating housing choices into neighborhoods and corridors, as well as working towards a target to increase multifamily housing options to at least 30% of the housing stock. As was provided in the staff report, as of the first of this month, an additional 529 multifamily dwelling units would need to be approved to meet this target. This concept plan alone doesn't meet that target, but it does work towards that overall goal. Staff does recommend approval of the rezoning, approval of the concept plan with 3 conditions, and approval of the preliminary plat with 8 conditions. And I will answer any questions that the commissioners may have.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Is there any questions at this time from the commissioners?
Commissioner Peel would like to be recognized.
Thank you, Karen. Mr. Wright, did you say that the fire department has reviewed this or looked at this, or it meets fire code?
Yes, they have reviewed it. Primarily at this point, they've looked at it in terms of access, and it does warrant the requirement to not have 2 points of access based on the proposed buildings being sprinkled, as well as the hydrant locations, to have sufficient fire suppression for the site to where a single point of access would be allowed. They'll review those plans in more detail through the final plan, as well as at the building permit stage, to make sure all fire code has been met.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wright. Also, one additional question. What about school buses? Maybe transitioning through this area?
That would be a question for the applicant, but I believe this is a standard size drive that they've provided, which should accommodate any buses that come through the neighborhood. And they do have the central access drive as well as the loop access drive that could provide proper ingress and egress for larger vehicles.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you, Karen.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Rohr.
Yes, this is Commissioner Rohr. How did the traffic study come out with that many cars coming out of there along Mock Avenue? Because I'm along that road quite often. And then you also have the field house traffic and the assisted living. What did the traffic study show with that much traffic coming out of there on Mock Avenue?
I'll see if our city engineer, Adam Hilgendick, may be able to answer that.
Hello. Yes, we did receive a traffic impact study, and it did assess this intersection as well as the intersections of 7 Highway and Mock Avenue, and then over to the east of Coronado and Adams Dairy Parkway. So part of the impact study is projections of vehicles during the peak hour, and so there were no, and also I guess whether or not signal warrants or left-hand or right-hand turn lane warrants were met. And at this intersection, there were no warrants for any improved turn lanes or any signalization at this proposed intersection. So based on the number of trips that would be generated and the distribution, because not everybody's leaving at the same time, and so based on that, there were no improvements needed as with this. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Billups.
Yes, hi, this is Commissioner Billups. I may have missed it somewhere, but I didn't see, was there any, have they given us any indication of the mix of apartment sizes, number of bedrooms, that sort of thing, and whether, is this going to be an age-restricted apartment complex like we've seen in quite a bit in the past, or is this going to be open to everyone? Any details like that about what they're planning here?
Yeah, I believe that they may have had some of the details on their letter, their formal request. But this would be a market rate apartment complex. It is not age restricted. And then for the number of units based on the bedrooms, it's down here in the lower left corner of the site plan. So they would be 12 studio apartments, 84 single bedrooms, 92 bedrooms, and 12 three bedrooms. So predominantly a 1 and 2 bedroom apartment development.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions for staff from the commissioners?
No other questions, Chair.
All right, thank you. At this time, I would ask if the applicant would like to make a presentation or share any additional information.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. This is Doug Stone with Lewis Rice. I'm here representing your
sir.
applicant. Good evening. How are you?
So, I'm sorry. Do we have Jim Leacock on the line?
Yes, Mr. Stone, I need to swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. So my name is Douglas Stone. I'm an attorney at Lewis Rice, 1010 Walnut, Kansas City, Missouri, 64105, although I haven't been in the office since March 13th. So much for having an office address. Good evening, everyone. Matt has done a very good job of explaining our project, and it's not our intention to belabor some of these points. I have a couple of things I'd like to say and let you know that here with us this evening, if you do have other questions for us, we've got the two representatives of the developer, Dave Braswell, who's joining us by video, and Rod Jones, who's joining us by phone, Robbie Steffens with Olson, who's our civil engineer, and Tim Holman with Nearing Stats NSPJ Architects, who is the project's architect. Honestly, do not have much to add to staff's presentation. I would point out that this is a project that's intended to be market rate. There is no age restriction. These would be nice apartments, but they are geared toward a workforce housing, and so they're not low income housing, but they are affordable level of apartments. The client here has almost 15,000 units that they've developed over the course of their collective experiences, both throughout St. Louis, predominantly in St. Louis, but also around the country, Colorado, several other states. They've recently, although one of the principals is a native of Kansas City, hasn't lived here in a while, has come back to Kansas City, and they have 3 or 4 sites now under development. This is the newest location that they're looking to proceed with. I think they've got experience how to operate these things. They are long-term investors. They're not developers who then turn around and dispose of the project once they've sold it. And so they are interested in being a member of the community. They have a project underway in Kansas City. They have a project underway in Kansas City North, Kansas City South, and then this project as well. And looking to do more in our region. I don't have anything else to add, although, like I said, we have our architect and our civil engineer. If you have questions of that nature, if you have questions about the developer, they're available as well. We're glad that the staff was able to find a way to support our project. We think this will be a nice infill project for that area between 7th Highway and Adams Dairy Parkway, and we're hopeful that you'll be able to support it to the full council. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stone. At this time, is there any questions for the applicant from the commissioners?
No.
I don't see any at this time, Chair.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I would ask if there's any witnesses in favor of this application. All right. Seeing none, I would ask if there's any witnesses opposed to this application. Okay. Seeing none, I would ask if there's any other final questions or comments from the commissioners.
There are no other questions, Chair.
All right. And so with that, I will close the public hearing, and I would ask for a motion on the rezoning. Yeah.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, I move that rezoning request RZ 11207574 for the Edison at Blue Springs be approved as submitted by staff.
A motion from Commissioner Peel, and I would ask for a second.
Commissioner Rohr will second it.
All right, have a motion from Commissioner Peel, a second from Commissioner Rohr. This will be a roll call vote.
Okay, Planning Commissioner Honeycutt.
Honeycutt, aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Commissioner Banks, aye.
Commissioner Billups.
Commissioner Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Commissioner Graham, aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry.
Commissioner Stokenberry, aye.
Commissioner Rohr.
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose.
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Commissioner Cradoff, aye.
And Chair Sanderson.
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, thank you. That rezoning will be heard at by the City Council on their Monday, January 4th, 2021 meeting at 6 p.m. And I would now ask for a motion on the Plan Development Concept Plan.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Banks.
This is Commissioner Banks. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Plan Development Concept Plan for Edison at Blue Springs, PDC-11-20-7575 with 3 staff conditions.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, I second that motion.
All right, we've got a motion from Commissioner Banks, a second from Commissioner Peel. This will be a roll call vote.
Planning Commissioner Billups.
Commissioner Ken Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Okay, before I do this, are there still 3 conditions that have been brought forward on this?
Yes.
Okay, did Lynn Banks include those 3 conditions in her motion?
Yes, she did.
Oh, okay, sorry, I missed
That's
that.
okay.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Commissioner Graham, aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry.
Commissioner Stokenberry, aye.
Commissioner Rohr.
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose.
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Commissioner Cradoff, aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt.
Honeycutt, aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Commissioner Banks, aye.
And Chair Sanderson.
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
Okay, that motion has been carried unanimously.
All right, that Plan Development Concept Plan will be heard at the City Council at their Monday, January 4th, 2021 meeting at 6 p.m. And finally, I would ask for a motion on the preliminary plat.
Okay, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel. I believe that was right, yes.
Thank you, Karen. Commissioner Mitchell Peel, I move that preliminary plat PP 7581 for the Edison at Blue Springs, along with the 8 conditions, be approved as submitted by staff.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Honeycutt.
All right, we've got a motion from Commissioner Peel and a second by Commissioner Honeycutt. I will ask for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Graham,
Commissioner Graham, aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Mr. Stokenberry, aye.
Commissioner Rohr,
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose,
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Commissioner Cradoff, aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt,
Commissioner Honeycutt, aye.
Commissioner Banks,
Commissioner Banks, aye.
Commissioner Billups,
Commissioner Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel,
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, aye.
and Chair Sanderson.
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
Okay, and that motion has been carried unanimously.
All right. This is all the testimony to be heard on these items. So if you would like to leave the meeting, please do so now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next item on the agenda is item 5, preliminary plat PP 12207587, and item 6, final plat PF 12207588 for Bishop Acres. We'll hear all these items at once and vote on them separately. And Nathan Jury, I believe you're going to be presenting.
Yes, thank you, Chair Sanderson and Planning Commissioners. Before you tonight, if you can see my screen, hopefully, for you tonight is a request for a preliminary plat and a final plat at a property addressed at 4301 Southeast Cook Road. It's roughly a 4.27 acre property, zoned RE, residential estates, as you can see here on the zoning map. It's generally located on the west side of Cook Road, about 1,000 feet of major road. And the purpose of this plat is to actually combine Tract A of Willow Tree subdivision with an unplatted parcel of land along Cook Road. The intention of this is to allow both the existing house on the unplatted parcel as well as the septic system on the tract within Willow Tree to be located on the same property. Combining the two separate parcels will actually bring the I jumped ahead a little bit too far. There we go. Combining the two separate parcels of land will actually bring the entire property closer to conformance with code as it plats previously unplatted parcel of land, and 2, the septic system in the house will now be located on the same property. The staff did review the preliminary plat and final plat under the review criteria and finds that the request is consistent with said criteria. The proposed lot complies with lot size and width standards for an estate lot in the residential estate zoning district, and all the necessary easements and rights of ways have been dedicated on the final plat. As for public improvements, sidewalks are typically required to be installed at the time of platting. However, in the past, when no public sidewalk exists nearby, in this case, that is the case in this case, the city has allowed residential property owners to record a binding covenant that requires them to install sidewalk if sidewalk is installed nearby in the future. So one of staff's condition concerns this sidewalk covenant requiring future installation of a sidewalk along Cook Road. Staff does recommend approval of the preliminary plat and the final plat with two conditions on the preliminary plat and 3 conditions on the final plat. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Jury. At this time, are there any questions for staff from the commissioners?
There are no questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Would the applicant, sorry, excuse me, would the applicant like to make a presentation or any other further comments?
Can you hear me?
We can.
This is, do I need to be sworn in?
So in this case, I think you just state your name and address.
Okay, this is Irwin Guard with Guard Horizon Survey Company here in Blue Springs. Address is 1040 Southwest Luttrell here in Blue Springs. I'm here tonight to represent Mr. and Mrs. Bishop, and am willing to answer any questions that the Planning Commission might have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Guard. Are there any questions for the applicant from the commission?
I don't see any at this time, Chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Guard. All right, any other final comments or questions by the commission? All right, hearing none, I would ask for a motion on the preliminary plat.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel.
Yes, Commissioner Mitchell Peel, thank you, Karen. I would like to make the motion for preliminary plat PP 12207587 for Bishop Acres at replat of Tract A, Willow Tree 7th plat, with the two conditions, be approved as submitted by staff.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Banks.
This is Commissioner Banks. I'll second Commissioner Peel's motion.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Peel and a second by Commissioner Banks. This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Aye.
That's Susan.
Commissioner Stokenberry? Aye.
Commissioner Rohr?
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose?
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Commissioner Cradoff?
Commissioner Cradoff, aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt?
Commissioner Honeycutt, aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Commissioner Banks, aye.
Commissioner Billups?
Commissioner Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel?
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Commissioner Graham, aye.
Chair Sanderson?
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, thank you. I would now ask for a motion on the final plat.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, thank you, Karen. I would like to make a motion on final plat PF 12207588 for Bishop Acres, a replat of Tract A, Willow Tree 7th plat, with the three conditions, be approved as submitted by staff.
Okay, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Honeycutt.
Commissioner Honeycutt, I'll second.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Peel and a second from Commissioner Honeycutt. This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rohr?
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose?
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Commissioner Cradoff?
Commissioner Cradoff, aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt?
Commissioner Honeycutt, aye.
Commissioner Banks?
Commissioner Banks, aye.
Commissioner Billups?
Commissioner Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel?
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Commissioner Graham, aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Commissioner Stokenberry, aye.
And Chair Sanderson?
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
That motion is also carried unanimously.
All right, thank you. So the final plat will be heard by the City Council at their Monday, January 4th, 2021 meeting at 6 p.m. This is all the testimony to be heard on these items. If you'd like to leave the meeting, please do so now. Thank you so much. The next item on the agenda is item 7, the site plan design review, SPDR 12207592, and item 8, final plat, PF 12207593 for Casey's General Store. We'll hear all the items together and then vote on them separately. Mr. Wright, I believe you're going to be presenting this one for staff.
Yep, thank you, Chair Sanderson and Commissioners. Before this evening are two requests, one for a site plan design review and a final plat for Casey's General Store to be located at the northeast corner of Northwest Woods Chapel Road and Northwest Jefferson Street. The City Council approved a general development plan and a conditional use permit for the 2.6 acre property in October. CUP allowed a 14 pump gas station or service station and a 3,900 square foot convenience store to be developed on this property. The site plan is essentially unchanged from what was reviewed by the Planning Commission and City Council back in October. It does match what was previously reviewed, including 3 points of access to the site, one each from each street frontage, which would include Jefferson Street, Northwest Woods Chapel Road, and then Northwest Duncan Road. The site does meet all the building type standards for a general commercial building, including lot size, setbacks, building coverage, and height. Minimum parking requirements have been met with 23 spaces provided, as well as the required pump island stacking spaces by having a minimum 30-foot drive aisles on either side of the pump islands. At the far south corner of the south part of the property are 3 bike racks to meet the bike parking requirements, and then all pedestrian access requirements have also been met with 5-foot sidewalks connecting to Jefferson and Duncan, as well as 8-foot sidewalks adjacent to parking and the building entrance. The final building elevations also match what was previously reviewed with the conditional use permit and general development plan, which does show the single-story convenience store building, approximately 3,932 square feet, single-story with a gabled roof. And the predominant building materials lap siding with a brick wainscot around the sides and front of the building. Additionally, a 4,300 square foot gas canopy also does provide coverage for the 14 pump islands that are in front of the convenience store adjacent to Woods Chapel Road. The architectural design standards have been met for a non-residential building. A final landscape plan has been provided, and it's a fairly large file, so it may take a second to come up. But the site has provided required the minimum number of plant units. 750 units are required for the site. 751 have been provided. The landscape buffers at the northwest corner of the site are short units. Within the 25-foot landscape buffer, however, staff does believe the intent of the buffer has been met. The main reason for that, they're proposing street trees. However, they have, given where their access drives are, they are putting shrubs further back to screen that access drive. Staff does believe that that still meets the intent of the buffer by providing plantings between the street and any on-site improvements such as the access drive. Proposed sign package has also been included in the packet, which does include a monument sign as well as building mounted signs for the building and gas canopy. Signage will be reviewed in greater detail through the sign permit process that is reviewed by staff. A final plat has been provided to plat the existing parcels. There are several, I believe 5 or 6 parcels currently for this property that would be combined into one lot for the 2.6 acre property. Conditions of the final plat include the installation of a 5-foot sidewalk along Jefferson Street and the installation of an 8-foot sidewalk along Duncan Road. These sidewalks must be installed prior to occupancy. Due to some above ground utility conflicts near the northeast corner of the site, if the east end of the sidewalk along Duncan cannot be completed due to those conflicts, any portion of that can be financially guaranteed prior to occupancy and would be completed at a later date, likely by the city as part of a future extension to the east. Staff does recommend approval of the site plan design review with 2 conditions and approval of the final plat with 4 conditions, and I will answer any questions from the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Are there any questions at this time from the commissioners for staff?
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, thank you, Karen. Mr. Wright, I wanted to reach out to you and see whether the pylon sign meets all requirements for signage under the UDC.
They are proposing, pull that up. They are proposing a monument sign. We have not looked at this in detail to see if it does meet requirements, but I do believe that it does. There is a 12-foot max monument sign height. So it would fall under the monument sign classification as opposed to a pylon sign or a pole sign.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you, Karen.
If I may, Matt, Chair Sanderson, this is Nathan. So on that sign, actually one of the criteria is the electronic reader board can only cover 1/3 of the sign area. And so I believe this is close to half, if not a little bit over half of the sign area is covered with the electronic reader board portion of the sign. So they'll have to reduce that size. They have submitted a sign package to me for sign permitting, and the reduced size is shown on the permit package that they have submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Jerry. Are there any additional questions from the commissioners?
Yes, Commissioner Peel has a question.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, thank you, Karen. Nathan, would they consider moving the home or house logo part of that and just keep the digital signs?
I'm kind of going off memory now, but I think if I remember right, they reduced this on the plan that they submitted, which I'm assuming that's the plan that they want to go through with. They reduced the height a little bit. I think they reduced the size of everything a bit, so that the majority of the sign area was on the upper half of this sign. And I think there might only be 2 pricers instead of 4. I might be remembering wrong, but I believe it's a little bit shorter than this. The logo's a little bit smaller, and the pricer area is definitely smaller.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jury. Thank you, Karen.
Any other questions from the commissioners for the staff at this time?
I don't see any other questions, Chair.
All right, thank you. At this time, would the applicant like to make any presentation or provide any additional comments?
This is Kevin McLaughlin with Morrison Shipley Engineers.
Hello, Mr. Claflin. Would you, you just stated your name, but you please provide your address as well?
Yeah, the office address is 2407 Southeast Cottonwood Street, Bentonville, Arkansas.
All right. Yeah, any other additional presentation or comments you'd like to make?
Not necessarily. As always, I think Matt does a good job presenting. I don't want to reiterate everything that he's already put in. I just want to make sure, you know, we've already went through the preliminary site plan with Planning Commission, but I just want to reiterate that we are asking for a reduction on the sidewalk along the front of the building. I think code requires 12 foot wide, and we're asking for 8 foot. We also wanted to note that for the building, all the rooftop equipment is going to be screened with a metal parapet. We have a brick dumpster enclosure with metal gates. Other than that, I'd just be happy to answer any questions you guys have. So,
All right. Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Are there any questions for the applicant from the commission?
See any questions at this time, Chair?
I just saw one pop up, Karen. I don't know if
yep.
Commissioner
Go
Peel.
ahead.
Yes, Commissioner Mitchell Peel. Thank you, Chair, and Karen. Mr. McCaplin, can you tell me how big that sign's going to be when you're done?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 12 foot tall by 9 foot wide is the last detail I saw.
Okay. I guess that's a little bit different than what Mr. Jury had related, but okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Karen.
Any other questions for the applicant from the commissioners? All right. Thank you, Mr. McCafflin. At this time, I guess, is there any other final comments or discussion for the commissioners? All right. Then I would go ahead and ask for a motion on the site plan.
We do have I'd like to recognize Commissioner Banks.
Commissioner Banks, I'd like to make a motion to approve the site plan design review for Casey's General Store SPDR 12-20-7592 with the 2 staff conditions.
Recognize Commissioner Honeycutt.
Commissioner Honeycutt, I'd like to second that.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Banks and a second from Commissioner Honeycutt. This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Hose.
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Commissioner Cradoff, aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt.
Commissioner Honeycutt, aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Commissioner Banks, aye.
Commissioner Billups.
Commissioner Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel with sign size reservations, aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Commissioner Graham, aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry.
Commissioner Stokenberry, aye.
Commissioner Rohr.
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose. I think I said that already. I did. Chair Sanderson.
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
Okay, motion carried unanimously.
All right, and I would ask for a motion on the final plat.
Okay, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Banks.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the final plat for Casey's General Store PF-12-20-7593 with the 4 staff conditions.
And recognize Commissioner Honeycutt.
Commissioner Honeycutt, I'll second.
All right, thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Banks and a second from Commissioner Honeycutt. This will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner Cradoff.
Commissioner Cradoff, aye.
Commissioner Honeycutt.
Commissioner Honeycutt, aye.
Commissioner Banks.
Commissioner Lynn Banks, aye.
Commissioner Billups.
Commissioner Billups, aye.
Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell Peel, aye.
Commissioner Graham.
Commissioner Travis Graham, aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry.
Commissioner Stokenberry, aye.
Commissioner Rohr.
Commissioner Rohr, aye.
Commissioner Hose.
Commissioner Ashley Hose, aye.
Chair Sanderson.
Chair Chad Sanderson, aye.
Okay, that motion is carried unanimously.
All right, thank you. The final plat will be heard at the City Council at their Monday, January 4th, 2021 meeting at 6 p.m. This is all the testimony that will be heard on this item. If you would like to leave the meeting, please do so now. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate all your help. Casey's is excited about this site. So,
all right. Thank you so much. All right. That brings us to other business. Mr. Mallon?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, we do have one item scheduled for the next meeting, which is Monday, January 11th. So we will plan on having a meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Hope everybody has a great, safe, and healthy new year as we move into 2021. But happy to answer any questions at this time. Otherwise, staff has no further information to provide under other business.
I would like to make a comment, please. As you know, Mr. Mallon has been sitting in as interim director for community development, and Matt Wright has been sitting in as interim assistant director, and they have both been promoted. It is official that our new planning commission, or our new community development director is Mike Mallon, and our assistant director is Matt Wright, and I would like to congratulate both of them.
Congratulations, you both.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, both of
That's
you.
great.
Well
That's
deserved.
right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right.
And Happy New Year.
Yes. Any other business from anybody on the commission? Okay. Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Peel.
Commissioner Mitchell-Peel, so moved.
And Commissioner Honeycutt.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned, and please immediately hang up by clicking the red phone icon. Thank you. Good night.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Y'all,
Happy New Year.
y'all, happy New Year. Happy
Yep,
New Year.
thank you. You too.